In this video, I will go through the one thing that no one talks about on YouTube. But when you master it, it will let you double your prices immediately. It will double your closing rate. It will increase the performance of your cold email campaigns. And it will literally make your whole business run 10 times smoother. Have you ever gone to Alex Hormozi's Twitter and looked at his tweets? And seeing that he tweets, you can get rich quick, but you can't get rich easy. But still you see 4,000 people liking it and 570 people reposting it. The same thing with Iman Gadzhi. Work hard and smart. Such a nice quote. And you see it getting 5,200 likes. A crazy platitude. You're trying to post crazy value. No one is watching it. And then Iman can post something that pretty much is completely useless, but it blows up. And the reason why this happens is because Hormozi and Iman, they are extremely high up. They are rich. They are famous, they have a really high level of status. The higher level of status you have, the more trust and attention you have. So Iman can tweet, work hard and smart, even though it's not a special tweet, but because his status is so high, people are gonna trust that this is the special thing that I need to know, and they're also going to pay a lot of attention to it. So the higher your status is, the more trust and attention you're able to get. Have you ever been in a sales meeting with a prospect, and the prospect is just looking at you like this? They just like don't care, they're just like mad at you, and it just doesn't feel like a good call. They're not really excited to be there. They look like they want to get out. And the call almost feels like an interrogation. They're just throwing you these really, really hard questions. They're doubting you. They don't trust you. They're like giving you the craziest objections in the world. And you're just confused why this is happening. And the reason why this happens is because in the prospect's eyes, you have a really low status. Let's say you hop on a call with Hormozi. You're going to trust everything the guy says. And you're going to pay crazy amount of attention on what he says. You're going to take notes. You're going to be there early and everything. If that happens to you, you have a super low level of status, and I see so many people making this mistake. You don't have attention, the prospect doesn't trust you. So if you want to get the prospect to sign on the dotted line, you want them to sign the check and wire the money, you need to go from here, from low status position to a high status position where the prospect actually pays attention to you and trusts you. So in this way, you go from being a sleazy snake oil salesman or car salesman in their eyes to actually a well-respected expert, and they trust that you're actually there to help them with their problem. Really rarely people go to the doctor's office and just like don't trust what they say, or like don't pay attention to what they say. Let's say you have a really painful knee, you're like, I'll go to the doctor, and the doctor starts telling you the solution, and really rarely you're like just scrolling on your phone, not listening. And because of all of this, what I just went through, I wanted to do a presentation on mastering status delta and why should anyone listen to you? Because this is literally one of the most important things in business. Because when a prospect trusts you and they pay attention, everything is going to be so much easier. So today we are going to cover some common misconceptions about status and achieving it. We'll go over the main aspects that affect your status delta, and I will even give you 11 easy to implement activity steps that you can take and execute to immediately increase your status delta, to close bigger and better clients, run a better business, and achieve your dreams and goals as a Chad business owner who has a high level of status. Some common misconceptions about status that we need to understand first. First thing, a lot of people think that it's solely about wealth and position, but that is extremely false. Gandhi was an extremely high status individual. He had crazy level of attention and trust from people, and he didn't have anything. He didn't have any money. He wore homemade clothes. He didn't have a penny. He didn't care about money. So in order for you to have a high status, you don't need a crazy amount of wealth. Second thing, a lot of people think that it's permanent. When you finally achieve this one certain level of status, you're finally this high status individual, you can't mess it up. You'll be there forever. Once again, it is not true. For example, if we think about Lance Armstrong, an extremely well-known and respected cyclist, won a lot of tours and medals and all of these cool things, awards and trophies, but then got caught for doping, using performance-enhancing drugs that were illegal to use in the competition, and lost all of the respect, lost all of his status, lost all of his medals, and pretty much went from being here super high in everyone's eyes to boom, plummeting, and people literally despising him. You also might think that status always commands respect. Once again, this is completely false, because respect is earned by your behavior. For example, you might have someone who pretty much has high status, they might have a really good job, they might have a nice car, they might have money, they might have really good awards, etc., but they still might not be respected if they act like a complete asshole. For example, here on this picture, you have this person like just ordering a coffee without any manners, and obviously, even though this person might be high status in other people's eyes, they are not respected in this certain situation. Also, people might think that it's always desired, but this is completely false. A great example of this is Dong Nguyen. If you remember the game Flappy Bird from years ago, a really popular mobile game. Dong Nguyen, he was making like 50,000 euros a day and people were going absolutely mad about the game. I think this was literally like 13 years ago, but it just got too big. He got too famous, he got too rich, and he just shut the whole thing down and disappeared from the internet. So status, it's not always desired. Not everyone actually wants it. Some people might think that they want it, but when they actually get it, they don't actually want it at all. Also, you might think that higher status equals higher happiness, but once again, we all know that this is wrong. If you look at all the A-list celebrities in Hollywood, all the movie stars, all the actors, all of these people, how many of them are depressed and sad, or musicians or rappers or whatever? They are just super sad even though they are the highest status people on earth. So also higher status won't really give you more happiness. A few misconceptions to make sure that we are able to dial in on actually what is high status and what is high status delta and how to achieve it. As you can see, status delta is literally just two words put together, status and delta. Status is pretty much the unspoken gravitas earned through credibility and results and also your actions. It's what amplifies your voice, makes doors swing open, and subtly compels clients and partners to align with your vision. It's pretty much the thing that gets you trust and attention, and it gets actually people listening to you. And then we have status, we also have delta. So delta is a gap in a journey. It's the distance between where you started and where you ended up. And in math, it simply means the difference between two numbers or states. Here, we have a perfect example of status delta. We might have John and Mark, and they both might have the same job, but Mark might have a way better track record, or he might be more handsome, or he might have a better car, or he might be more fit, or he might be better at the job. So he has a higher status because of it. The difference between John's status and Mark's status is the green block here on the screen, and that is the status delta. That is the difference between John and Marcus. And as entrepreneurs, as agency owners, as business people, our whole goal during our journey is to stack up different elements that increase our status delta so we are able to reach out to bigger goals, bigger milestones, and do bigger and cooler shit. Obviously, this is not for everyone, but for most people who actually want to build big businesses and make a lot of money and be really successful, that is what you need to do. You need to stack your status delta up so you're able to reach the higher level. Then you might be asking, okay, how do we achieve status delta? And one reminder that I just want to go through here is that status delta is not a binary thing. It's not you either have status delta or not. It is a full-on continuum. It's a spectrum. It's not a question of if you have status delta or not, but it's a question of how much you have it. You might be an absolute nobody and have no status, but you can also always go lower, or you might be the biggest, most famous A-list celebrity, Ryan Gosling, but you can still always have more status delta. So just remember that it's a spectrum. It's not a binary thing of yes or no. Things that affect your status delta, there are 7 main things. So first, there's education and track record. Then there's capital. There's alignment to others with status. There's physical appearance, digital appearance, behavior. And the last thing is status delta elimination. And that is an extremely important one. So the main thing, first one, education and track record. Pretty much simply telling your prospect your track record is one of the most simple ways to develop a massive status delta. So for example, going through your educational background, your case studies and references, your awards, your certificates, your past titles in your jobs, all of these things are increasing your status delta. For example, if you talk to someone who has gone to Harvard, you're going to immediately perceive them through a higher status lens. He might be a complete jackass, but you are going to assume that they are smarter in some type of way. Or maybe you have worked as a global chief marketing officer for Meta. Obviously, if someone goes to your LinkedIn or you go to someone's LinkedIn, let's say you have a call with a prospect, you're selling a lead generation agency solution. Before you go on the call, you check their LinkedIn and you see that they have been the global CMO of Meta. And you're like, this dude is extremely smart. So when you go to the call, you're going to immediately think and listen to them way more and trust them way more because they have had a higher position. Or just a case study, you might have a crazy track record and you might have helped a company go from 480K to 2 million in 8 months and help them close 100 million in deals in 5 years. This is an example from Nick Kosmin's case study because it's just a funny screenshot in my opinion. Then after education and track record, there's capital. A perfect quote for this is something that Malcolm Forbes, the founder of Forbes magazine, said. If they think you are rich, they think you are right. This is an extremely good quote because that's how humans behave. For example, probably all of you have seen the meme or the sentence of what color is your Bugatti? And this was really big in the internet some time ago when Andrew Tate was on his biggest. Every time when he would have a different opinion or feel differently than his fans or himself, you just get hit with the question of what color is your Bugatti? Pretty much people saying that if you don't have a Bugatti, if you don't have a $3 million car, you are wrong. And this is extremely true. Immediately, if you see someone's rich, you're going to perceive them as a higher status person. You're going to trust them more and you're going to pay attention attention to them, because obviously they have had to do something right in their life if they now drive a $3.5 million car, or they live in a nice house, or they have a nice watch. That is just the fact how humans work. Alignment to others with status. Once again, extremely simple. If you look at some really well-known people, for example, Jaden Smith or Paris Hilton, obviously they have had a great career. They're extremely famous. They're extremely successful in their own career. Obviously, if you don't know, Jaden Smith's father is Will Smith, one of the most well-known actors in the whole world. Obviously, when he started making music, he immediately had a super high status as a musician because he was aligned to someone with status. It's like, okay, if Will Smith's son is gonna make music, it has to be good. That obviously places him into a super high status position before he has even started. Or Paris Hilton, obviously her family, her grandfather who started the hotel chain Hilton, one of the biggest hotel chains in the world. When she went into her own career, people immediately once again started assuming that she has to know something because she comes from the Hilton family. There's no way that they're doing some dumb shit there because they are extremely successful. And that has helped her out a lot during her career. Maybe a bit more understandable example. Let's say that you go to a meeting with a prospect and you're talking with the prospect and he's like, yeah, I just came from lunch with my buddy Russell Brunson, the ClickFunnels guy. And we're gonna be like, damn, Russell is huge. He's super famous. He's super successful. He's a genius in marketing. He's a genius in funnels. So obviously this guy also must be good. Otherwise Russell wouldn't having lunch with him. But the guy you're talking with might be a complete idiot with funnels and marketing. There's zero correlation of him actually being good, but you just assume that he is because he is aligned with Russell Brunson. That's a great example of how alignment with other status is increasing your status delta. Physical appearance, once again, a super simple one, and not a lot of people like to talk about it, but it's extremely true. You always have to think about this, especially in business. There's always this swing or this scale of things. And on this scale, there are gonna be two blocks on each side. So on the other side, there's gonna be claims, and the other side, there's gonna be physical presentation. And these two blocks need to weigh the equal amount. If the other one is higher than the other, it's gonna cause friction into the process and it's gonna just feel weird. Like for example, if someone sends you an email of, yo bro, I can make you $10 million and I can double and triple your company and I can do all of these crazy things, and you hop into a call and there's a super tired dude with a super messy haircut and super messy beard and just like everything is a mess, his Zoom background is a mess, all of these things is just sitting there and telling you how he can triple your company. The scale goes out of balance. The claims are way heavier than the actual physical presentation of this person. And once again, it's crazy because if you think about it, the person can be the best marketer and business person ever, even though if he doesn't look good, but us as humans, we associate physical presentation with the credibility of the person. We can't have the scales tip over on the other side. But the same thing goes to otherwise. If you go to a McDonald's and there's this dude with a suit on and a Rolex and some super expensive Cartier glasses and he's trimmed up, he has a really nice beard, a really nice fade, he has some diamond rings. You go to McDonald's and he's serving you the burger, you're gonna be immediately thinking like, this dude should not be here. The other way around it isn't as bad because it doesn't really matter, but in the business sense, your claims need to match your physical presentation. And for example, the things that really go into physical presentation is what kind of clothing you wear, how fit you are. So if you're really jacked, people are gonna associate that with hard work ethic and healthy lifestyle, and have you gone to the barber? That's just how humans work. You immediately assume when someone is super fit that okay, they are probably doing something right in their world and they probably know something that I don't. And then of course, because there's physical appearance, there's also digital appearance. Each one of us has two versions of ourselves. There's the physical version of us, it's pretty much the version that you see right now. There's also the digital version you see when you Google your name. So in physical version, it's pretty much like what car you drive, what you look like, what clothes you wear, what your background looks like on Zoom, your height, your weight, your depth of voice, your muscles, all of these things. That's how your physical presentation goes. And then on the digital side, it's pretty much your content, your copywriting, your website design, how many followers you have, articles you have been featured in. And these weigh in your digital version scale. So for example, you might see this dude on LinkedIn and see that his value prop is I ghostwrite educational email courses for paid social and growth marketing agency founders. And you look at, okay, that dude has 48,000 followers. So immediately you're gonna think that, damn, this dude must be good at what he does, but there is zero correlation between the amount of LinkedIn followers you have or the educational email course service that he provides. Like you can be an extremely good at LinkedIn content marketing, but you might suck at writing these educational email courses. But because you have more followers, your digital presence looks better and people are gonna immediately assume that you're an expert. Maybe you go to someone's landing page or someone's sales letter and you immediately see something super complex stuff. You look at like, damn, there's integrals and there's a bunch of crazy stuff going on. This dude has to be super smart. These integrals might be completely wrong. This might not even be accurate at all. But because it just looks smart, you're gonna immediately assume that, damn, the dude has to be smart. And the craziest thing about it is as time goes on, the digital side of the scale starts weighing more than the physical side of the scale. 20 years ago, when you wanted to sell a prospect on something, you would have to go to the dinner, you would need to have a nice suit, you need to be jacked and nice hair and be really super charismatic, and that's how you would win deals over. But as time has progressed and people have gone to more digital, they don't really care that much about your physical presentation compared to how much they care about your digital presentation. What does your landing page look like? What kind of case studies you have? How many followers you have? Have you been featured in articles? And then of course there's behavior. So for example, if you have ever seen a picture of Barack Obama giving a fist bump to the janitor and it went super viral on Facebook or somewhere, I can't remember where I see it, but that is because behavior also has a huge impact on your status delta. So for example, things that affect your status delta are leadership and confidence. If you are super unconfident, you can't lead, people are not really gonna see you as super high status. Or assertiveness, if you're always crumbling when there's some confrontation in the situation, it's not really gonna give you a good look. Integrity and honesty, have you ever talked to a person who clearly isn't honest or they don't have integrity? How much do you trust that person when it happens? If you don't have any etiquette and manners, you're just gonna look like a dumbass. Effective communication, if you don't know how to speak, if you don't know how to articulate. Emotional regulation, and if you're super emotional and just go off the walls all the time and you get sad and you scream and you go happy and blah 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 blah, it's gonna make you look like a child. Reliability and consistency, if people can't rely on you, they're not really gonna assume that you are high status. Resiliency and adversity, if you quit really easily when there's some adversity in your life, you're not really someone who they should pay attention and trust, because obviously you're just gonna crumble when stuff gets hard. Responsiveness and attentiveness, if you're just daydreaming at all the times, you're not looking the person in the eyes and you're not really like attentive when they speak, you just look like a slob. Or demonstrated expertise and competence. Let's say that you are the best landing page builder in the world, or that's what you claim you are, and then someone brings a laptop to you and they're like, yo bro, can you fix my landing page? And then you start fixing it and you fix it really well, you're gonna immediately, your behavior is gonna like, damn, this dude clearly knows his stuff. And the last thing is gonna be status delta elimination. This is super important to understand, otherwise none of this is really gonna matter. If you think about a sales call with a prospect and your goal is to sell them, obviously when the sales call starts, your status delta is gonna be really low. Maybe they have seen your YouTube stuff, or maybe they have seen some of your marketing materials, they have read your sales letter or your ebook, and your status delta has risen in their eyes. But let's say that it's halfway here. It's not really high when the call starts. And as the call starts going, your goal is to increase your status delta as much as you can. You go to your case studies, you present really well, you articulate yourself really well, you have a nice shirt on, all of these things, you pretty much stack up status delta as the call goes on. Then at some point of the call, there's gonna be a status challenge from the prospect side. And this happens a lot in sales calls, and I guarantee you, if you've ever been in a sales call, this has happened to you and you probably haven't even realized, and most likely you have probably butchered it as well. So there's a status challenge from the prospect side. And a status challenge can be, for example, a direct doubt on your product and service. So they might say, we have tried this before and it didn't work. What makes you different? Or they might compare you with a competitor. They might say, hey, company X offered us a similar package, but at a much lower rate. Why should we pay you more for the same thing? Or they might question your credentials or your track record. So how many clients actually have gotten results? Can I speak to an old client? So they're questioning you. In these cases, if you mess up how you respond to the status challenge, your status delta is going to ricochet from the status challenge and it's just going to go down. You're going to lose your status delta and the call is going to go super hard. Have you ever been in a call? The call goes on for 20 minutes and 30 minutes or 45 minutes and it goes super well. You're like, okay, these guys are 100% going to close. And then finally there's time to close and the person is like throws you one of these status challenges. They're like, hey, why should we pay you more when there's another company that's doing it for less? You don't have a good answer for it. You panic, you mess it up. And then suddenly the prospects are like, yeah, we'll have to think about it. And the call goes super hard and you can't close it. That's because you lost your status delta and they don't trust you anymore and they don't pay attention to you. And in these cases, it's really easy for you to just become a puppy dog for the prospect. The prospect is just throwing you these different status challenges and different objections. He's just throwing you this tennis balls. He just throw the tennis ball. Yo, can I talk to a customer? You give him the referrals and the calls and the emails and you just bring him the ball back and he just keeps throwing it like, can you give me a proposal? Or can we give you a week to think about it? Can you give us a discount? And he's just playing you because you have lost all of your status delta. And that is extremely dangerous when that happens. Also, a really big thing that I want to mention is never lie to your clients or your prospects. It is literally the worst thing to do. Pretty much what happens with your status delta is if you get caught in a lie, your status delta is going to drop to the absolute minimum. You're going to lose all of your status delta. No one's going to pay attention to you. No one's going to trust you. Your life is just going to become a mess. Because the only thing you really carry with you for the rest of your life is your reputation. If you trash your name and reputation, it's really hard to get it back. And there's no lie big enough in this world that would make it worth it. So never lie to your clients or your prospects. A quick recap, things that affect your status delta: education and track record, capital, alignment to others with status, physical appearance, digital appearance, behavior, and status delta elimination. Makes sense? Now you'd raise your hand at home. That's cool. cool, boom. And now I know when we have gone through a lot of information, you're just like this, like, oh, what the fuck is happening? There are so many things like social media and status, and I need to improve my design and case studies. I need to get case studies, and I can't become a puppy dog. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 11 action steps you can focus on to increase your status delta, and you can increase your closing rate and hold a better frame during the sales process. So you can charge bigger prices and get less pushback from the prospects. So you can decrease your sales cycle by getting rid of time-consuming objections like, can I talk to your ex-client? And so you can run a better business, work with bigger and better clients, and radiate status and confidence through the rest of your life. Sound good? If yes, raise your hand at home. The first thing that you can immediately do after this video is you can sauce up your wardrobe if selling to a sophisticated B2B audience. Extremely simple. It's not really even gonna cost you that much money. If you're selling to B2B companies, let's say you're a lead generation marketing agency owner, it's gonna take you like $100, $50 for you to get a nice shirt and a nice jacket. You don't even have to get the pants. Just get a few nice shirts so you're not rocking a hoodie in every single call, because your clothing is gonna increase your status delta. One thing that I want you to understand is this is niche specific. For example, let's say you're selling a fitness offer on how to grow your biceps. Obviously, you don't want to be wearing a suit. You need to be wearing a wife beater that shows up your big biceps to your prospects, because that's what's going to give you status delta in that situation. If you're selling to a sophisticated B2B audience, definitely rock a suit or at least a nice shirt. Just don't look like a slob. Second thing, make sure that you hit the gym and stay in good shape. It's also going to give you better focus, better energy, better sleep. It's going to just make your life so much better. If you just like a slob, you look unhealthy on the calls, it's not really going to do a favor for you. Third thing, don't look like a slob. Hit the barbershop bi-weekly. It's going to take like 2 hours of your life every single month to have a clean haircut at all times. Get your haircut at least twice a month. Just look presentable. Fourth thing, get your website redesigned by a professional. Just have someone design your website and make it look nice. It's going to cost like $1,000 to $2,000. It's going to increase your status delta immediately. You don't even have to have it redesigned by a professional. Just put some time and attention to it. Watch a few YouTube videos on how to make it look nicer. Fifth thing, post on LinkedIn 5 times a week, plus optimize your LinkedIn profile. A lot of the prospects are going to check your digital footprint. They're going to look at what you look like on social media. If you just want to optimize for it, spend an hour every single week writing some LinkedIn content. It literally takes you an hour to write. Create a nice banner photo, take a nice profile picture, rewrite your headlines and summaries and all of that stuff, and make it look nice. It's one of the easiest things for you to increase your status delta in the eyes of your prospect. Sixth thing, ask for case studies and testimonials always when possible, and use them. A lot of people, they're trying to save up on the case studies, but just literally, if you have gotten results to your clients, ask if they can hop on a 15-minute call, record it, and boom, put it on your landing page. Create a quick summary of how you got the results and what results did you get them, and just post it everywhere. Number 7, extremely self-explanatory, but don't act like an egoistic dick. Be humble and have good manners. Go to YouTube and write YouTube how to have good manners and just have good manners. 8th thing, show off your track record, your education, awards, and past jobs. A lot of people have really dope track records, but they don't show them off anywhere because they don't think that it matters. Of course it matters. If you have gone to college, where did you graduate? Where did you get your bachelor's from? What title were you at your past job? Just present your track record in a nice way. There's literally no shame in that. Just have it in your sales letter, have it in your LinkedIn. Literally helps so much. 9th thing, handle status challenges calmly and confidently. A lot of people, when they get presented with a status challenge, they start panicking. They get nervous and they just look like a dumbass. So if you want to make sure that you don't make that mistake, just stay calm, stay confident. Number 10, work with discipline and reliability. Just work hard and be reliable. That's literally all it takes for people to see that you are not a dumbass. If you promise someone that you're going to do something, actually do it. And if you actually need to do a lot of work, actually do it. People are going to respect it, they're going to see it, and they're going to perceive you as high status. 11th thing, this is super easy. Make sure your Zoom background is clean. So many people have a messy Zoom background and there's everything going on and it just makes you look like you don't care and you don't really never want that. And also, I have one bonus step, which is grow a sick mustache, and this is literally going to double your status delta immediately. I guarantee it to you. If you just follow these 11 steps, you're able to pile up small pieces of status to increase your status delta. So you're able to go to bigger levels, you're able to close at higher prices, you're able to have a better life, run a better business, and work with cooler clients. And that's what you really want. Once again, this presentation was from our first ever live event at agentvelocity.io. We brought a batch of our customers to Estonia, had a crazy nice weekend, enjoyed our life there. If you ever want to see any of these seminars live, we had a bunch of these ones. You can go check out agentvelocity.io and maybe join us and get access to all of our live events and all of that cool stuff. If you liked, drop me a like and subscribe to the channel. Peace.